It's good to be here again this morning in front of you to open God's Word. To start, I invite you to close your eyes. And I want you to listen. Just take a moment and focus and breathe. What do you hear? Okay, open your eyes. Did you have wandering thoughts? Were you thinking about lunch plans? Maybe joint pain? Maybe you were hoping that I'd have you keep your eyes closed for the duration of this morning's message so you could have a little cat nap. But if you're like most people, you likely had a number of thoughts running through your mind, competing internal voices and priorities all trying to take center stage. And then perhaps the feeling of guilt because you were going off task. That, unfortunately, seems to be life these days. And because of that, at worst, we've lost the ability to hear God. At best, He is one of but a number of voices, competing voices and competing priorities in a busy and hectic life. This morning, I want to share with you 3 reasons why we struggle to hear God these days. But I'll also suggest some ideas to get back on track as we begin this new year of school, of church, and a season of life. So why can't we hear God? Here's reason number 1. Our schedules are too busy, and we have no time to be with Him. So we're familiar with this amazing story in the Bible of Jesus feeding the 5,000, right? You're all familiar with that. There was Jesus, there was His disciples, there was a young boy, and a bit of food. And 5,000 other men, some women, some children, who were hungry and tired. And we know what happens, don't we? Jesus blesses the food, everyone's fed with lots of food left over, and everyone's happy. But let's look at what happens just before that. Mark chapter 6, we start reading at verse 30. The apostles gathered around Jesus and reported to Him all they had done and taught. Then, because so many people were coming and going that they did not have even a chance to eat, He said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." So they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. They were busy guys. There were people to teach. There were things to be done. And Jesus knew His friends needed some time to get away with Him. Some time to get away from the crowds, from the noise, from the needs of others. So they hopped into a boat and went to a quiet, solitary place to be with Jesus. At least that was the plan. We continue the story. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. When Jesus landed and saw a large crowd, He had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So He began teaching them many things. Getting away with Jesus for some time alone was a great idea, but things don't always go according to plan. Our schedules get so crazy that we don't have time to be with God, or at best, little time with Him. We're bouncing here and we're bouncing there because we have to. We need this, we need that, we need the other thing. We have competing priorities. We wonder why we're run down. We wonder why our to-do lists never get shorter. We see others doing great and fun and wonderful things on social media, so we also must do fun and great and even more wonderful things to show the world. We work and we work and we work. And I don't know about you, but I like having company at my house because it gives me a reason to tidy. I make time to clean the floors when people visit. It's gotten to a point that whenever I'm cleaning the floors, Gavin inevitably asks, "Who's coming over?" We make time to do things that we think need to be done. It's hard to make time for the one thing we definitely need to find time for. And perhaps it's because of reason number 2. We are easily distracted, and we can't focus on Him. We started this morning singing a song with the words, "I'm here to meet with you. Come and meet with me." And I hope that that's our expectation whenever we come to church, that we have time to meet with Him and that He will meet with us too. And that should be our focus each and every day. But we have to-dos. We have jobs. We have band practice and kids' baseball, birthday parties to plan and homework to complete, Facebook posts to like, and Instagram posts to post, highlighting the best of who we are. We have to menu plan and grocery shop. We have doctor's appointments and tests to arrange. We have volunteering to do. The dog needs walking. The dishes need squirrel. There are many things that take our focus when we do have time to set aside for God, and we can't focus on Him. Let's look back to 1 Kings that Mia read to us earlier. "And the word of the Lord came to him, 'What are you doing here, Elijah?' He replied, 'I have been very zealous for the Lord God Almighty. The Israelites have rejected your covenant, torn down your altars, and put your prophets to death with the sword. I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too.' Elijah's freaking out. All the prophets are being wiped out, and he knows that he's next. But he listens. The Lord said, 'Go out and stand on the mountain in the presence of the Lord, for the Lord is about to pass by.'" I love this. "Then a great and powerful wind tore the mountains apart and shattered the rocks before the Lord, but the Lord was not in the wind. After the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. When Elijah heard it, he pulled his cloak over his face and went out and stood at the mouth of the cave. And he knew the Lord's voice. The spectacle he would have witnessed didn't faze him. He wasn't distracted by the earthquake, the wind, or fire. And it was no boogie wonderland. It was an intense scene. No 70s disco fans here? Earth, Wind, and Fire? Boogie wonder? No. Anyway, the Lord spoke to him again and told him what to do. He knew what to focus on. Not the big, distracting moments, but the gentle whisper. If he hadn't listened to the whisper of God amongst the huge distractions, he wouldn't have known what to do, and he surely would have been killed. We need to listen to the small voice that's trying to break through the loud and the crazy and the busy. Why can't we hear God? Perhaps for reason number 3, we take everything for granted. We have lost our sense of awe. I read one magazine. Books and newspapers too, but only one magazine. And I'm sure that just by looking at me, you can tell what magazine that is. You're correct, Men's Health. Obviously. I was struck by an article in June by Michael Behar called "The Power of Awe." You'll have heard me say before that I feel the words epic and awesome are incredibly overused. They've lost their meaning. We've lost our sense of awe. The world around us has become all too familiar. Mr. Behar reaffirmed my belief in that as he writes these words. Last August 21st, at 4:30 a.m., I roused my 7-year-old son Simon from his bed in a creaky hotel in Cheyenne, Wyoming. In a few hours, a rare solar eclipse would occur. Dawn revealed a brilliant blue sky, promising a clear view of totality. Simon was thrilled. I felt indifferent. Neither of us had ever witnessed an eclipse, but my expectations were tempered. I'd been to Machu Picchu, Victoria Falls, and the Himalayas. An eclipse is a mere 2 minutes of solar showmanship. Big deal. We scouted all morning for the perfect viewpoint, driving pockmarked Jeep roads before settling atop 6,400-foot Prairie Dog Hill. Wearing protective glasses at first, we watched the sun become a black disk, a void in the heavens. Yellow tendrils danced along its circumference. A starry night sky appeared, even though it was 11:44 in the morning. Crickets started chirping, and then a crimson glow swept the horizon, creating the startling illusion of a 360-degree sunrise. Oh my gosh! Wow! Wow! Witnessing my child's pure and unmitigated elation ended my indifference, as did this cosmic spectacle that seemed to slow time. It was simultaneously energized, so I was simultaneously energized, intellectually aroused, and overcome with unbounded optimism, as if life had suddenly revealed its infinite potential. There were about a dozen other onlookers nearby, and I had the inexplicable urge to hug each and every one of them. Nothing had ever made me feel like this. It was awesome. He spoke to scientists about the phenomenon of awe, and he learned that awe is healthy for us. Among other things, did you know that awe may reduce inflammation? Awe lowers stress and affects immunity. Awe inspires creativity. He also found that awe evokes spirituality. But we, as Christians, should know that. We worship a God who has made mountains and seahorses. He created incredible minds that discover cures and hands that paint masterpieces, sunsets and hurricanes. He commands the wind to die down and the waves to lie flat. Mark 4:39. He got up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." Then the wind died down and it was completely calm. We need to constantly see the world around us for the miracle and the blessing and beauty that it is. We have seen and experienced so much. We're older and we're more cynical. We're not as impressed anymore. Things are too familiar. We need to stop taking things for granted and understand that our Maker is the creator of awesome. By doing that, we will have the desire and the urge to listen. When seeing a sunset, we will listen. When we see powerful storm clouds, we will listen. When we hear a baby cry, we will listen. And when we breathe, we will listen. With those three reasons why we can't hear God, here are two things we can do to try to remedy that problem. First, let's realign our schedules. Set ourselves up for a spiritual awakening. We can be renewed by being still. We need to do what needs to be done. Certainly. I'm not arguing that point. But do we really need to do all that we think needs to be done? If something is taking us away from time with God, then maybe we have too much on our plate. If you're spinning too many plates, eventually they begin to fall and they crash. Plan time in your schedule for prayer. Plan time in your calendar to listen. And don't talk. Just be still. We don't always need to use words. A friend posted these words last week on social media. I thought they were timely. Sometimes you have to stay silent because no words can explain what is going on in your mind and your heart. How true is that? We don't need words. We need to listen. And secondly, we need to rest in the arms of Jesus, in his comfort, in his peace. Rest. When I hear that word, it sounds peaceful to me. The idea of rest is blissful. These very familiar words from Matthew chapter 11 come to mind. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. But I feel we've lost the art of rest. We've forgotten how to rest. With smartphones and social media, work demands, and family busyness, don't forget church stuff, we've not had time to rest, to actually rest. I wear a Fitbit. I prefer big, colorful watches, but I wanted to see if this gadget would help improve me. Let me tell you something if you're not familiar with them. If you tap the screen and slide over a little bit, it comes to a little app called Relax. I'm not kidding. It senses your heart rate and directs you to breathe and relax. It tells you when to breathe, how long to breathe, and how long and slowly to exhale. Folks, we've lost the ability to rest. How do you rest? Do you have a place to go? That special place to relax and rest? Personally, I like to lay on the couch on a Sunday afternoon and close my eyes. During baseball season, I'll turn the game on and have it down real low, and I drift off. But I haven't found the time all summer to do that. In fact, the last time I truly felt rested was late January when Mia and I went to the Dominican. Every day I laid by the pool, I read, I napped, I listened to worship music, and I prayed. There were no kids, no schedules, no emails. My body and my soul felt truly rested. But unfortunately, life generally isn't like that. We have cares and we have concerns. Perhaps not as dire as David had when he wrote these words in Psalm 62. Surely they intend to topple me from my lofty place. They take delight in lies. With their mouths they bless, but in their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, and I will not be shaken. To know in real certainty that God has us covered is permission to rest, for our souls to relax, for us to take huge inhales and long, relaxing exhales. He is our rock. And if we're on him, we will not be shaken. When listening for his voice, like Elijah, we can take refuge in him. But it starts with rest. When we learn to rest, we can develop patience. And with patience, we can focus. And when we focus, we can hear God's voice. And we'll hear him say, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth." Be still. He is God. His Spirit is among us. And he is calling to lay your busy and your unfocus and your familiarity at his feet. And he will give you rest. Are you feeling burned out this morning? Are there more heavy sighs in your life than hearty belly laughs? You can come to the mercy seat and lay your struggles at his feet. You can come and ask God to maybe speak a little bit louder for you in these times. He wants you to declutter your schedule. He wants you to focus your mind. And he wants you to find ways to be in awe so you can rest. band's going to come back up, and we're going to sing a song together. Amid all the traffic of the ways, turmoils without, within, make in my heart a quiet place, and come and dwell therein. Beautiful words, words that speak of the need to have this quiet place to go, a place where we can meet with God and hear his voice. Whether you're here this morning or watching on YouTube later on during the week at home or at work, you can take a step forward. Whether you want to come to the mercy seat and kneel, or sit where you are, or raise your hand, or acknowledge in some kind of way that, yes, God, speak to me, help me to rest. That acknowledgement, that movement physically is an important way to acknowledge God this morning. No one judges you, but it helps you on the right path to accept the fact that you need to rest and come before God. Close your eyes and sing with the band or pray quietly, reflecting on the words. Make in my heart a quiet place and come and dwell therein.